Dear learners, welcome to this session in which we would be discussing long reports. In the earlier session, which was the last part or which is the last unit of this whole course, and in that we discussed the guidelines to different types of reports. Now in this case we would be discussing long reports, and in the subsequent session we would be discussing short reports, that means different types of reports. And we had already discussed that why reports are important, though they are the secondary task and they have to be documented, they have to be used for the reference purposes, they have to be used for the stakeholders, they have to be used for internal communication, they have to be used for external communication. So we all know that reports, though they are the secondary task, they are very important in nature. In this session, we would be discussing different stages to reporting, and then we'll move on to the long report. And in the last part of this session, I would be taking you through a report, annual report of an intergovernmental organization, which talks about the long reports and how the report has been prepared. Because it is related to the not-for-profit organization, that is why it is very important to understand how the reports are prepared. So that is a kind of a live example I would be taking you through. Now coming to the stages in reporting. In stages in reporting, we have basically 4 steps. Now these are the standard steps which are used for all kinds of reporting. Fine. But as I told you earlier, and I have been discussing it again and again, and I'm repeating it now, that when we are reporting or when the report is being prepared, it depends on the organization how to structure the report. The basic formats would remain the same, but the structure has to be managed in such a manner that the report is communicable and it is precise, it is concise in nature, and the language is proper. So that is why it is very, very important to see what are the different stages in reporting. In the first step, we would be talking about how to prepare the material, what is preparing material. Step 2 would be the planning the report. Step 3 would be writing the report, and step 4 would be criticizing the report. Now these words, or these you can say these words, they sound certain, they give a certain kind of idea what should go inside the report. Now one by one we would be discussing these particular aspects. Now the first step is prepare the material. We need to collect all the information, the facts, the illustrations required. But why? Now one thing is very, very important here is that we need to see what is the purpose of the report. I'm going to give you an example of a financial report. Now suppose the funder or the donor who has donated some amount of money to the organization wants a specific kind of report. Now in that case, he or she needs to understand where would the money go, how would the money would be spent, why is the money required, who will be the beneficiaries of that money, etc. So it is who, what, why and how. Now when you see these questions, you'll find that they are related to the strategic aspects also. And we had discussed elements of strategy and what is strategy, what is the purpose of management. We have discussed all sorts of things. And you see, even in the report, this particular concept comes into the picture. Now these concepts, they are quite prevalent in the business world or in the corporate houses, but they are very, very important for the NGOs also. So you must have heard about or you must have come across the word annual reports. But when we talk about annual reports, we always say that this is the report of a business house or the corporate house, where they have prepared an annual report and they have made it public for the stakeholders or the shareholders or the people who are directly or indirectly related to that particular company. Similarly, for the NGOs also, we need to prepare the specific reports. So these, for that you need to have certain kind of a material. So when we are talking about gathering the information, gathering the facts, the illustrations, we need to understand that they should be relevant for that particular report, because report is very specific, it is not general in nature. So that is why whatever the material is being gathered, that has to be filtered out, and only the relevant portion has to be gathered by the organizations. The second aspect is plan the report. How do we plan the report? Planning the report is very, very important. Planning, activity of planning is very important in any case. Whatever the case may be, planning is very, very important. And for that, we need to classify the material. Now, material we have gathered. We have to see what is the fact, what are the illustrations. So we have to classify what kind of data it is, whether it is a secondary data, whether it is a primary data. We have to classify that data also. We have to analyze the data, that is a separate portion. How the data is related to the activity or the objective of the report, that is another portion, etc. So classifying the material is very, very important. We need to make an outline of the report also while planning. So in outline, what happens is you have to just judge. You have to just figure it out that what are the components which should go inside the report. Everything and anything would not go. There should be specificity involved in planning the report. So we need to make a list of major and minor subject headings. Now this depends. We have been giving, even in the guidelines, I have given certain kinds of the headings which are required for preparing a report, but it purely depends on the organization for which the report is being made, because every organization has its set pattern, a standardized pattern of making a report. So that is very, very important that you keep in mind. This is a generalized concept which has to be incorporated, but apart from that, other subheadings are depending on the activities of the organization, and that varies from organization to organization. In the third part, we are going to write the report. How to write the report, that is very important. For that, you need to state the subject, the purpose, the plan, the introduction of report. And we need to describe the equipments, the procedures, the results in the body of the report. Now, why do we require to explain all these procedures? Because everything requires funding. We need to explain that this equipment has been used for this particular process. This procedure has been included in the report for a particular purpose. So all these things you need to summarize, give the conclusions and the recommendations, and condense the report in 1 or 2 paragraphs in the abstract. It's like a summary. It's a summary which gives the idea that what is inside the report. We'll take the example and we'll see how it works. So in this report, when we criticize the report, it is not a negative word actually. When we talk about criticism or something related to criticizing, it is not actually criticizing. It means it is trying to find out, or it means to analyze analytically the flaws in a particular concept or the report so that it can be improved upon. So it is kind of an examination or evaluation. So examining the report as a whole, the plan and the proportion of parts, we need to check the agreement of the title, table of contents, the introduction and abstract, checking the proportion of paragraphs and sentences, examining the details of the textual transitions from topic to topic, part to part sentence, structure and wording. Everything has to be related. It should not be absurd. It should give a certain kind of an idea what is going inside the report or what kind of activity has taken place. What is the project all about? And for NGOs, this becomes very, very important because their whole thing is dependent on the funding or on the donors. So we need to understand the whole concept. So that is why we need to evaluate the report properly, to examine, to check all the details, check the proportion of paragraphs. It should not be complex sentences. It should not be very, very long paragraphs that you get tired reading it. It should be precise. It should have a proper and simplified language. Now we'll discuss different parts of a long report, and there are 3 different parts in a long report. The first part is the preliminary report, the second part is the text, the third part is the supplementary part. Now these parts, they are quite common while recording or putting some data. And we always use this kind of explanation, that first of all we have the preliminary part, then we have the main body or the text, and then we have the supplementary part. So while preparing a report, we use this kind of a standardized format, but again I'm stressing that each NGO has its own activity, has its own way of preparing the report, but this common part definitely goes inside it. Now if you see this flow chart, this explains the parts of a long report, and each part has been covered in different boxes. The preliminary part, you have certain aspects like title page, the authorization letter, etc. And then you have text, then you have supplementary part. We'll see this one by one. In preliminary part, you have a title fly. There's a difference between title fly and a title page. Title page gives the exact title, and title fly, it just gives the title and does not give the introduction. Title page gives the introduction about the title also. And then you have an authorization document, you have table of contents, the list of tables, the list of figures, and of course a summary in form of abstract. So these are the basic preliminary parts of a report, and that is very common in all the reports. When we talk about the text has the introduction, the text has the body, and the text has the conclusion. So this is the basic aspect. The whole body, it is actually the whole body. It has the introduction part, it has the body, it has the conclusion in the report. The last part is the supplementary part, which has endnotes or the footnotes. You have appendices or annexes, that means additional material which is required to be studied by the stakeholders or whosoever is reading the report. That additional material is important. If it is important, that has to be used as appendix or used as an annexure. Then the last, because this can be an idea about the additional requirement of a report, which is some parts cannot be included in the report, so they are used as annexures. Then you have bibliography, that means where from certain portions of the report has been taken from or the references have been made, that bibliography has to be there. And then the indexing is there. Indexing is helpful in identifying the pages where a particular concept or particular detail is available. So this is the supplementary part. Now coming to different types of reports, I just mentioned in the earlier session about different types of reports. So we have monthly reports, we have quarterly reports, and we have annual reports. All these reports, they come under long reports. Basically, annual report is the long report, but we can consider the monthly reports as well as the quarterly reports, because there are certain projects which end within a quarter. So that can be a long reports. So there are project completion reports, also project activity reports, also minutes of the meetings during implementation of projects reports, but these do not come under the long reports. So we would be considering the monthly reports, the quarterly reports, the annual reports. So how to write a monthly project report? So what are monthly reports? Monthly reports are kind of an update on the activities of the projects for a particular month, and they are usually prepared every month. Some organizations, they prepare the monthly report, some organizations, they do not prepare the monthly reports. Therefore, it requires details of the project in a certain manner, and the manner should be in the monthly activity report. So the structure of monthly report includes the introduction, the specific objective of the month for that project, details of the specific activities scheduled for the month, and updates of regular activities of the month. So these are the monthly reports. This is the structure of the monthly report. So now coming to what should go in a monthly report, that is very important to understand. So we need to justify the activity which are scheduled for the month but could not be undertaken because there are certain objectives which cannot be fulfilled within a month due to some unavoidable circumstances. So that has to be mentioned that this activity was projected, this objective was there, but it was not completed, or it was scheduled but it was not completed due to certain problems or certain issues. So that justification should go inside the monthly report. Monthly reports do not give the progress because they are the ongoing process. So that is why you need to avoid the analysis and the assessment of the project's progress. You need to add the issues and challenges of the project also. And a very interesting aspect is that in all kinds of report, the pictures of the activities should be mentioned or should be pasted. And these activities, these pictures which depict the work or the kind of activity being done by the organization should be impactful, should be catchy, should attract the attention of the reader of the report. There should be a cover page that should be attractive enough, which outlines the title of the report, the title of the project, the names of the supporting and implementing agencies, and the period of the month. Because monthly report does not mean that it is a monthly report. You need to mention the specific period. Suppose it is August, so it should be from 1st to 31st August. And of course the year also. So the monthly report has to have a particular month mentioned along with the year specifically. That is why, so that while referring after some time, while referring to the report, one knows what has happened in that particular month. Now we'll discuss how to write the quarterly reports. Now in quarterly reports, what happens? We have long-term projects which demand the quarterly reports. There are certain cases where quarterly reports are required. It is not a necessity, but it helps the organization to understand how they are progressing, because it gives the progress for the past 4 months, how the organization is doing in a particular project. So the quarterly reports are required. It provides an update to the project, it reviews the progress in a quarter, and it has to include the challenges and the issues faced. The other details are actually like the monthly reports. Monthly reports like the table, the title page, the table of contents, the expressions, the text, whatever should go, the pictures, the impactful pictures, everything is similar to the monthly reports, but the content will differ. So in the quarterly reports, the executive summary should be very, very precise and should not exceed 1 page. It should include the introduction, the objectives for the quarter, the approach and summary of the work plan. The main body should present an update on activities referring the monthly reports, because monthly reports are not mentioning the progress of the report. So update on activities have to be there. They can be presented in the form of tables and figures and certain issues and challenges and conclusion and the scope of the work for the future work which can be done related to the particular project. So this is how a quarterly report is written. Now coming to the major part of the long report, which is writing an annual report. I'll just give you brief and then I'll explain you how the annual report has been written. So while writing the annual report, again it presents the overview of the progress of a project for a year. It is based on the quarterly reports. And the guidelines of the quarterly reports may be followed, because like the title page, table of contents, that remains the same. The comparisons for quarters as well as yearly comparisons and growth of project can also be mentioned if the project extends beyond 1 year. If the project ends within a year, then there is no need to present the yearly comparisons. So this is how we need to write the annual report. Now we'll take an example of an annual report and we'll see that how an annual report has been prepared, and this is a performance review report for an organization. So we'll just see how it works and how the annual report is prepared. I've given the source. You can download the PDF, you can read the PDF, and you can see how the annual report is prepared. Now we'll discuss the annual report and how it is prepared, and in annual report we'll discuss the performance review. This is for United Asia Charity. If you see it, you can see the picture. The picture is quite captive in nature. You can see the contents. There's a message from the founder, the mission statement, the vision statement, which you have already studied, who we are, where we operate, why Cambodia, that is the place, the programs, the impact story, etc. Then you see the message from the founder. You can just see how beautifully it has been done. Then they have the mission statement, the vision statement. They are just telling what they do and where they operate, how do they operate. All that has been discussed. And in this case, you see they are so precise with everything, and they have put in the pictures also of the people involved. They have also given why Cambodia and what is the reason they have chosen this place. That means the reason for the NGO for working in that particular place. They have the programs related to it. They have a community program. You see the pictures are also attached with the whole events which they take, how the United Asia Charity is in action, how they are building the walls, they are building the community, they are working for the community, they are building the schools. You can see the beautiful pictures, the eco-friendly nature, the cultivation, the agricultural products. Now you see the figures are depicted. We talked about the figures, we talked about the illustrations. Everything is being depicted here. You have types of projects which are registered, and then of course this impact story is also there. This is kind of a case study where this organization has an impact on somebody who has benefited from the organization, who has been taken care by the organization, and that person has a bright future. That person has succeeded in life. So now you see the financial report also. We have seen the young volunteer, the impact story. You see the financial report. That means there's a loss it is showing. So these are the balance sheet of UAC, Switzerland and other places. So you have the appendix also. If you see, we've talked about annexures and appendix. We have income statement of Cambodia also. So you see all these income statements, they provide the what kind of funding they have. And then at the end you see there is an address also regarding the organization. They are talking about the outlook also, what will they do in 2016, because the report is of 2015. Then they have issues related to governance, and the governance they have mentioned the people associated with the particular fields, the functional areas who are working in this field. They have the funding support mechanism also, the credit card payment system, etc. And they end the project report with a beautiful picture which is quite impactful, which designates that as you sow the seedlings, it grows into a beautiful sapling. Thank you so much.